Hello everyone and welcome to CRPS Contender, my complex regional pain syndrome education channel. Today's video is Hindered Hindbrain, brain structures and functions, the brainstem, and cerebellum. This video is part of my Mind as Matter mega series. Here is the little listicle for you if you decide you'd like to watch these in order. That out of the way, let's hop right into the content today. First, I would like to discuss the brainstem. The brainstem is the area of the brain between your spinal cord and your higher processing areas of the brain. This is a continuation of the spinal cord. There is no gap or disruption of the nervous system at this junction. This junction is known as the cervical junction, and it is where the base of your skull aligns with the start of your spine. The brainstem is a fairly small area of the brain and only takes up about 2.6% of your total brain weight. 10 out of the 12 pairs of cranial nerves come out of your brainstem. And this area of the brain relays information between the body and the brain. And it is responsible for the regulation of your vital bodily functions like alertness, attention, arousal, breathing, heart rate, blood pressure, your autonomic functions like digestion, perspiration, pupil size, urination, salivation, and the like. Your brainstem is made up of 3 different sections: the medulla oblongata, the pons, and the midbrain. Let's start with the medulla. This is the area in green on the picture to the right, and it is the lowest part of your brain. This area is responsible for the expansion of contraction of your lungs and the uptake of oxygen by your cells. It is responsible for cardiovascular regulation and blood pressure, as well as your reflex centers for vomiting, gagging, coughing, sneezing, and swallowing, and jaw jerking, which is responsible for mastication. Your pons, in blue to the right, houses cranial nerves 5 through 7 and regulates involuntary actions like respiration, equilibrium, hearing, taste, facial sensation, the production of saliva and tears, chewing, swallowing, the production of facial expressions, eye movement, sleep, posture, and bladder control. And then your last section of your brain stem is the midbrain, and this is the area in red, and it is the part of the brainstem that meets up with the limbic system. The midbrain houses cranial nerves 3 and 4, and is responsible for the regulation of eye movement, pupil control, hearing, alertness, basic motor control, your sleep-wake cycle, and your temperature regulation. And then there is one more section of the hindbrain that is not part of your brainstem, and this is called your cerebellum. In the pictures to the right, this is the purple area. It is the major feature of your hindbrain, and it is called the little brain. While it is fairly small and only takes up about 10% of your total brain weight, it contains about 50% of the total neurons in your brain, which is a massive amount. This section of your brain receives sensory information from your other systems and then regulates your voluntary motor movements. These functions include posture, balance, eye movement, motor learning that requires practice and fine-tuning like particular sports or arts and crafts or learning an instrument. It also is responsible for some speech and language processing, as well as your fear, pleasure, and reward responses and your attention. So what can happen if any of these areas are damaged? In your medulla, which remember this is the lowest part of your brain where it meets the spinal cord, you can end up with difficulties with breathing, swallowing, vomiting, gagging, sneezing, coughing, balancing, the loss of sensation, problems with tongue dysfunction, and a loss of muscular control. In your pons, you might, if you have an injury there or some sort of dysfunction, you can end up with sleep disturbances, sensory dysfunction, arousal dysfunction, or locked-in syndrome, which is similar to isolated cataplexy. If you're not sure what that is, I've got a video on it on my channel, where you experience complete paralysis of voluntary muscular control. In opposition to cataplexy, which is transient, locked-in syndrome is permanent. If you have a lesion, which just means an injury, in your midbrain, you might end up with vision problems, hearing problems, movement disorders, or memory problems. In your cerebellum, if you have an injury there, you might end up with difficulty or inability to walk, tremors, incoordination, inability to grasp and hold objects, dizziness, vertigo, slurred speech, the inability to make rapid movements, and a loss of fine motor control and timing. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe. As always, all relevant sources will be linked in the description below. See you in the next one. Hello, everyone.